This is Ella Starr with your Key Races and Bets podcast for Saturday, March 29th, 2025. Welcome to the last Key Races and Bets podcast of March, brought to you by Amwager.com, AMWAGER. Amwager.com is a legal online U.S. based horse racing wagering website with great betting tools and perks, legal for residents of most states in the U.S. and covering most tracks in North America as well as many around the world. If you're not signed up, go to Amwager.com and sign up. And while you're there, also, you can get the written version of this podcast, the Key Races and Bets blog, free by clicking on How to Bet and Ella Starr's blog. We're going to start with the first of four fantastic races on a great card at Gulfstream on Florida Derby Day. March 29th, starting with race 11. This is the Army Mule Stakes at 4:40 Eastern. The win contenders are Play Me a Tune, Inveigled, and Knightsbridge. Play Me a Tune is 4 for 7 in his career, really 4 for 6, as his effort last September around 2 turns in the Grade 1 Woodbine Mile can be ignored. This will be his third start off the layoff, and that last effort was a win from off the pace in a stakes race at a similar distance to the 7 furlongs. It was 6.5. The third horse from that race came back to win, and that bodes well too, considering Play Me a Tune already has the best last race equine-based speed figure in the field of 105 to improve upon. He is the one to beat. Inveigled came back from a 2-month layoff, and in his first start as a 4-year-old ran the best race of his career. Lopez was aboard for the first time, and the result was a very smart rally from fourth. His stalking style should play well in this field, and improving off the 100 echo-based speed figure he earned last month puts him in range of running as fast as Play Me a Tune, but perhaps at higher odds. Knightsbridge won the first 2 starts of his career by nearly 20 lengths, then combined. Rested 7 months, he ran lights out when beaten a length in the Prairieville Stakes last fall at Keeneland. Knightsbridge returned as a 4-year-old last month and led late before being passed by Inveigled, who was returning from a shorter layoff. Knightsbridge should definitely improve second off the layoff, maybe sent to the front from the start based on his last effort. That could make him tough to catch like he was in his second career start last March when he led from start to finish at a mile here at Gulfstream. In the Army Mule Stakes, race 11 at Gulfstream, 4:40 Eastern, Saturday, March 29th. We'll start by looking for win bets with Play Me a Tune, considered him for a bet at 9 to 5 or more. Inveigled and Knightsbridge can be considered 5 or 2 or more, and in situations like this, I will look to bet even 2 of the 3 if they're above those odds. And if we end up betting 2 of the 3, this is an opportunity to use what's called a Dutching tool, which is free at Amwager. Helps us achieve the best mathematical edge we can by prorating our bets for the best return. All we need to do is select the total amount of money we want to bet to win, and then select 2 horses, and all the work is done for us. That's a free tool at Amwager. It's one of many tools and perks at Amwager.com. We're going to play doubles, pick 3s, and pick 4s in this sequence. I'm going to give all 4 races out. The double, of course, is race 11 and 12. The pick 3, 11, 12, 13. The pick 4, 11, 12, 13, 14. Race 11, Play Me a Tune, Inveigled, and Knightsbridge. In race 12, 5 Towns, Buttercream, Babe, and Vina Arana. In race 13, Seminole, Chief, Major Dude, and Axthelm. And in race 14, Tappan Street, Madacat Road, and Sovereignty. Moving on to race 12 in this great sequence at Gulfstream on Saturday, March 29th. This is the Sand Spring Stakes, 5:15 Eastern. The win contenders are 5 Towns, Buttercream, Babe, and Vina Arana. 5 Towns is very consistent. He has 2 wins and 2 seconds in her last 5 races and a 4-3-1 record overall from just 13 starts, including 7 in England. She won the similar Dahlia Stakes at this mile trip on turf last April before second and third place efforts in higher level graded stakes, including one beaten ahead in the Grade 3 Noble Dancel last summer. 5 Towns has been rested since then, and trainer Greer Motion does really well with his turf runners with these kinds of layoffs. Jockey Ruiz rode 5 Towns to both her wins in the States, including the stakes race, the Dahlia, and she enters the race off a strong pattern of works on the grass locally. Buttercream Babe also makes her first start of the year, last seen finishing ahead from second in the higher level Grade 3 Valley View Stakes in the fall. She won off her last layoff in June at this mile trip, which also happens to be the last time jockey Luis Saez rode. Saez rides today. We expect a big effort off the bench. Vina Arana ran 4 times in her native Ireland before coming to the U.S. last spring, and her U.S. debut in August at Saratoga was a big effort when she came home fast from 11th to 12, more than 12 lengths back at one point and 7 past wide in the turn, then drawing away late. Vina Arana was Group 3 placed in her home country. She's another I'm not concerned about running as well as she did off the layoff last year, so she rounds out the top 3 of contenders in this race. In the Sand Springs Stakes, race 12 at Gulfstream, 5:15 Eastern, Saturday, March 29th. We'll start with 5 towns, who should be considered for a win bet at 5-2 or more. Buttercream Babe and Vina Arana can be considered for bets at 3-1 or more. This is another race where I wouldn't hesitate to bet 2 of the 3 at above their fair odds and using the Dutching tool, which is easy to use at Amwager. Doubles and pick 3s, again, same as before, daily doubles. Race 12 at 13, 5 towns, Buttercream Babe and Vina Arana in 13. Seminole Chief, Major Dude and Axtelm, and the pick 3. In race 14, Tappan Street, Madaket Road, and Sovereignty. Moving on to race 13, this is the Appleton Stakes. 5:57 Eastern on Saturday, March 29th at Gulfstream. The win contenders are Seminole Chief, Major Dude, and Axtelm. Seminole Chief just ran the best race of his career in his 8th start, the reason being taking blinkers off after 5 straight races in blinkers. Gafflin was up aboard for the first time in victory, and that, as well as identifying the reason for the big effort, makes it very representative of what he can do in this situation, particularly as Seminole Chief is making his 3rd start in a turf route and continues to improve as a 4-year-old. That 103 Equibase speed figure, the second best last year's figure in the field by 1 point, certainly points to another big effort, and even though Major 2 ran a bit faster last out and has run faster this year, faster in the last year, Seminole Chief, his odds make him a better play, and so he gets slight preference. Major Dude has few knocks as he won 3 of 5 last year, including the great 2 Fort Lauderdale on this course in December with Irad Ortiz Jr. in the saddle, same as today. Major Dude was overmatched in the Grade 1 Pegasus and rebounded to top form when beaten inches on the wire 4 weeks ago in the Canadian Turf Stakes, where he earned a 104 figure. He ran one of the best races of his career in the Fort Lauderdale in December with a 114, and Major Dude has earned $1.1 million to date, so we can expect another big effort. Although he may not be as good a win bet at low odds as Seminole Chief, Major Dude is a must to use on any exacta double, pick 3 and pick 4 tickets we play involving this race. Axtelm rounds out the trio of contenders here. He may come in under the radar by most bettors, similar to his last 2 races where he went to post at 17-1 and 30-1. Those are both 5-furlong turf sprints, and most handicappers won't notice. Way back in his career, he ran the distance previously, and well, as he wanted a mile early in his career and missed by a small margin around 2 turns on grass in the Bryan Station Stakes around 2 turns as a 2-year-old. Axtelm won last September in a tough allowance race at Kentucky down to 6.5 furlongs, which is like a mile because of the conditions of that course, and he earned a 104 figure. He enters the race with a strong 4-furlong workout and 47 flat. Axtelm is likely to be relaxed in the early stages, possibly far back, under Frankie Dettori, but could be passing many of these in the late stages and has an upset shot. In the Appleton Stakes, race 13 at Gulfstream, 5:57 Eastern for win bets. Seminole Chief and Major Dude should both be considered 5-2 or more, but I think only Seminole Chief can hit that threshold. Axtelm can certainly be considered for a win bet at 5-1 or more as a second win bet. If he's nice odds, I certainly will make that bet. For the exacta, I want to box Seminole Chief, Major Dude, and Axtelm. And again, if we bet 2 horses in this race, we should use the Dutching tool at Amwager, which is free and easy to use. For the doubles, we use Seminole Chief, Major Dude, and Axtelm in race 13. And in race 14, Tappan Street, Madaket Road, and Sovereignty. The last of this great 4-way secrets at Gulfstream on the 29th of March is the Florida Derby. Post time 6:42 Eastern on Saturday the 29th. The win contenders are Tappan Street, Madaket Road, and Sovereignty. On paper, the fastest 2 horses in this year's Florida Derby field are Madaket Road and Sovereignty, who've earned 102 and 98 Equibase speed figures respectively in their most recent races on the road of the Derby. However, Madaket Road gets an outside post and maybe a need-to-lead type in a race with at least 2 other horses drawn inside who are likely to keep him from getting their lead. Sovereignty should improve off his strong effort in the Fountain of Youth following a few months off, but unfortunately, it was announced this week that regular rider Junior Alvarado will miss the race due to an injury, leaving the connection scrambling for a replacement when most of the top jockeys in the U.S. are already committed to other horses in the Florida Derby or in the Arkansas Derby today. Perhaps more importantly, historically, the winner of the Fountain of Youth does not fare as well in the Florida Derby. Among the most recent 10 horses to have run in both races, only one of them won both, that being Forte, in 2023. With that in mind, and with the first and second place finishes necessary to secure a spot in the Derby with points, Tappan Street is the most probable winner in my opinion. A lightly raced son of Into Mischief, same sire as Sovereignty, Tappan Street won his debut at Gulfstream in a 7-furlong sprint at the end of December, then ran a really sneaky good race in the Holy Bull 5 weeks later. In that race, Tappan Street rallied from 6th to make the lead while wide on the far turn, holding that lead until 16th to go, ending up clearly second by 9-length margin over the third horse. The winner of the Holy Bull, Burnham Square, had much more race experience compared to Tappan Street, and it showed. But I expect Tappan Street now to move up markedly both physically and mentally off the effort, particularly as he skipped the Fountain of Youth to enter the Florida Derby as a fresh horse, fresher than Sovereignty. Trainer Brad Cox has several contenders on the road to the Derby Trail this year in the form of Final Gambit, who won the Jeff Ruby last week, Flood Zone, John Hancock, Instant Replay, and Patch Adams. And Cox has proven to have a knack for having his chargers fit and ready for these races on the road to the Derby. Jockey Luis Saez has ridden Tappan Street in both races and also rides Good Cheer for Cox, the undefeated early favorite for the Kentucky Oaks, as well as in previous years rode Angel of Empire for Cox to win the 2023 Risen Star, rode Essential Quality to victory in the 2021 Bluegrass Stakes. Although Tappan Street has earned 93 and 89 figures to date, which are far short of the 99 and 102 best figures Sovereignty and Madaket Road have earned, respectively, Tappan Street appears to be ready for the best ever of his career and good enough to post the upset in this year's Florida Derby. Now back to Madaket Road, he's on a nice pattern of improvement which can't be denied, going from a 90 figure in his debut last November, steadily increasing how fast he's run, culminating with a field high 102 figure when second last month in the Rebel. Blinkers come off for this race after 3 races with blinkers, perhaps allowing him to relax a bit in the early stages as opposed to unzipping through the opening half mile in 45 6/10 in the Rebel before tiring to finish second. On the other hand, with it appearing that Neoquos on the rail, Disruptor, who's stretching out to 2 turns, and Jimmy's Dailies might also want the lead, it will be absolutely necessary for jockey Tyler Gaffalione to put Madaket Road in a stalking position early while not going too wide on the first turn from his outside post. In his maiden win in a sprint last December, Madaket Road stalked in 4th position early before rallying to win, so it is possible with the equipment change those tactics could be successful in the Florida Derby. Sovereignty currently has 60 points on the road to the Derby, may not need to win to secure his spot in the Kentucky Derby, particularly compared to Madaket Road, who has 31, and Tappan Street, who has 10, and others. Earning a career-best 99 figure when winning the Street Scent Stakes to close out his 2-year-old campaign, Sovereignty came back to the races as a 3-year-old to earn a 98 figure winning the Fountain of Youth, which should be improved upon in his second start at the age of 3 in this race. His outside post does not compromise his chances, given he's been 9th and 6th in the early stages of his last 2 races recently, both wins. So the only question really is whether Sovereignty will be asked for everything he has in the late stages if he needs to, if he's already in position to add to his points and ensure he can enter the Derby 5 weeks from now, compared to other horses which will be off the Derby trail if they don't finish in the top 3. Sovereignty certainly has the talent to win. It will be no surprise if he does. In Florida Derby, race 14 at Gulfstream Park, 6:42 Eastern on Saturday, the 29th of March. Tappan Street is the horse I'm going to look to bet to win at 3-1 or more. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near fair odds on the other 2. But hopefully we have doubles, pick 3s, and pick 4s live to them both, Madaket Road and Sovereignty. For the exactas, I want to box Tappan Street and Madaket Road, and I want to box Tappan Street and Sovereignty. There's no point in playing exacta box with the 2 likely favorites, Madaket Road and Sovereignty. Don't forget, you can get the written version of this Key Races and Bets podcast, which is the aptly named Key Races and Bets blog, and it's free at amwager.com. Click on How to Bet and Ella Star's blog. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.